Hi, welcome to my 2020 end of year book survey. I think that's what it's called. I have filmed this end of year reading survey, sorry. I filmed this one time already and my camera shut off, so I'm going to hopefully be a little bit quicker and then also shut this off before that happens again, so I don't have to film this a third time. Okay, so I'm just answering the questions off Gabby Reads. I think I just had like super long answers for each, so I'm going to try to be a little bit more succinct. And if you would like more information about each book, I have other reading videos, or I can possibly talk about them in a different video. Coming up, there is also going to be a CAWPILE rating system video in which I will go into like 5 of these books a little bit more deep, so we can talk about them. But anyway, how many books did you read and did you meet your reading goal? I read 28. My reading goal was, initially it was 10 and then I upped it to 30, and I've only been reading since July. I've been reading much longer than that, but I really got into reading for fun again in my life in July. So in 6 months, I've read 28 books. So I'm 2 under my upped goal of 30. I could finish them by the end of the year. It is only December 23rd, but we'll see. And next year I think I'm going to have a 52 book reading goal. Most read genre, I did the math in my last video, and it is romance, and I am shocked by that. Longest and shortest books you've read. The longest book I read was 11/22/63 by Stephen King, and I think it's about 847 or 74 or 50, I don't know, somewhere in that range. It's around 850 pages basically. And the shortest book I read, all of my books have collapsed because I've been just like grabbing them out for these questions, but the shortest book I read was Claiming the Rancher's Heir by Maisie Yates, and it is 217 pages. 218 pages. Favorite book published in 2020, and I said The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. I think that was my favorite this year. This is a really hard one. I think that's my favorite this year. Favorite debut book in 2020, and I went with The Black Kids by Christina Hammonds Reed. This is a young adult historical fiction. Great, very good. I've talked about that for sure in some of my other some of my other videos. Favorite book not published this year. So I can't really choose between these two. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, phenomenal. I think it's from 2018? 2016 it says. Copyright 2016. This is A Hate to Love office romance. Just phenomenal. One of the best books I've ever read. And then The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter, which I think is from 2017. And this one is also one of the best books I've ever read. A book that lived up to the hype, and I would say a book that lived up to the hype was The Vanishing Half. The Vanishing Half, I think a lot of people were talking about it, and some people said it was slow, but I didn't really hear any people say they didn't like it, and I honestly thought it was phenomenal. One of the best books I've ever read or listened to, because I listened to it a lot. That for sure was one of the most hyped and best books this year. A book that did not live up to the hype, and this one I only read this year, which I know like everyone had read it already, and it is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I think this was way overhyped. I'm not saying it was bad. It was very good, but it was a little slow, and I knew who the killer was, and it just wasn't like, I do wonder, people who think that this is like the best book they've ever read, if they read for fun often, because to me this seemed like a very average, good book. Book that felt like the biggest accomplishment. And I have 2 answers for this. I would say one is 11/22/63 by Stephen King, because it is such a long book and it's kind of like sci-fi, the history. I think it's a very polarizing book. Either you really like it or you really don't. So that is one of the reasons. So that's why I'm choosing that book. But I also have to mention Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson, and I say this because picking up a book where you know that atrocities are committed against certain people, as a group of people, is always a hard read, and this is nonfiction, so it's obviously true, it's obviously happening in our world, and it's heartbreaking, and so to me it was an accomplishment to read a book to educate myself on what's going on in the world. Favorite character? I would say, and I'm grabbing this, but it's my least favorite book I think I've read in the past year or so. It's Stephanie Plum from the Stephanie Plum series by Janet Evanovich. There's like 26 or 27 books out. They're wonderful. Some are better than others. I would say worst case they're like a 2 to 3, best case they're a 5. So Stephanie Plum, I think because I've just grown up with her basically, even though she's been like early 30s, I think, my whole life. But it's such a good series if you like mystery and romance, and really every character in these books I've come to really love. Least favorite character, I would say both Emily and Simon from Well Met by Jen DeLuca. Emily, I have to say, I think my issue is with the writing and the writing style. I think the writing actually. Emily is basically like organization is her personality trait. She doesn't really have much else going for her as a person. And then Simon seems completely, I don't know how to describe him, but unaware? I don't know. Kind of like a weirdo. I don't know. I didn't like this book, and I think both of these characters were lacking. I didn't like them at all. Most shocking book / moment, and I have several. I have 3 answers for this, and I'm only gonna go into one of them, but I will show you the other 2, and kind of like if you know, you know. So The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, shocking, if you know, you know, and The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, if you know, you know. And the reason I say this is because these were super popular on BookTube and in general as books, so I think that if you read a lot, especially thrillers, you've probably read those and you know what I'm talking about. Now, Winter Counts by David Heska Wombly Wyden. This was shocking, and this is a little bit more unexpected. This is listed as a thriller, but it didn't read like a thriller to me, so this was very shocking what happens at the end. Favorite couple, I would say, I have 2 answers again for this, and it's Josh and Lucy from The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Again, great book. I love these 2. They had great little bitty banter. The only thing was like the end was kind of creepy for me, like the bedroom shade thing. I didn't like that. I thought that was weird. And then I have to say Charlie and her husband from The Good Daughter were such a refreshing look at like a couple they're adults. I think she's in like her mid or late 30s, and they're adults and they're struggling together, and it was good to see. I really liked them as a couple, and I loved her as a character. The best written book you've read this year, and I would have to say that it is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. It was simply phenomenal. I thought that was just such a good book. And additionally, I have to say Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson, also really good. Book that you pushed the most people to read in 2020. I think this is hard because I suggest different things to different people. I think overall it's probably 11/22/63 by Stephen King, because it can really appeal to a wide range of people. So you have Stephen King fans, even though this isn't a book that he typically writes. It's not horror at all. You have historical fiction lovers, you have sci-fi lovers, so it really has a wide range of potential audience. So that's probably the answer for that one. Favorite book cover of the year. I have to say The Black Kids by Christina Hammonds Reed is my favorite. It's got this matte cover, and then the lenses in her glasses have like a metallic shine to them, and same with the highlights in her hair, and it just looks so cool. I just love this cover. I think it's so pretty. Favorite book to movie adaptation, and it is Little Women. I think everyone probably will, maybe not everyone, I think a lot of people will choose this because it came out this year and it was just so good. I love Florence Pugh, and her adaptation of Amy was amazing. Flawless. I loved that Amy. So good. And Little Women is one of my favorite books ever. Which book made you cry the most? Oh, this is a hard one. Every book makes me cry, I have to say. The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter, just how this wraps up, brought tears to my eyes. Also Tomorrow Will Be Different by Sarah McBride also made me cry a bunch. Sarah, it's nonfiction, and Sarah lost her husband. So she's a widow, and it's just heartbreaking to read about that and what she went through and what he went through. The book that made you laugh the most? I don't know. Probably The Hating Game or the Stephanie Plum series. These are mystery romance, and they have a little bit of comedy. And then this, I just love their banter, and it was so cute and just made me chuckle. It was just good. It was just a good one. and it was steamy. A new favorite author, I would say, is Ruth Ware, Karen Slaughter. I'm really excited to read more Colleen Hoover, but I don't know if I could consider her a favorite, but I am interested in reading more of her work. Guilty pleasure read of the year. I would say if you asked me this a while back, I would probably choose a romance novel. But man, I don't think it's guilty pleasure. I just unabashedly love romance. It's so good. And I don't think it should be a guilty pleasure. I think romance is what it is, and like, you should appreciate it like any other book. But I would say like my guilty pleasure has always been the Stephanie Plum series. When I tell people about it, some people stick up their nose a little. They don't think it's like a real novel, but it is, and I love them. Favorite book you reread this year? I actually don't think I reread anything. What is the best nonfiction book you read this year? Again, Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson, the best nonfiction, but I also had to have a special shout out for Tomorrow Will Be Different by Sarah McBride, which talks a lot about LGBTQ and transgender issues, and it was wonderful. Were you happy with your reading year? And I would say yes. I think I read a lot of really good books. I didn't read a lot of books that I didn't enjoy or that were not good. I read a lot of really solid books, and I think also it gave me a really good idea of what I truly enjoy reading versus what I've been trying to read because I think it's popular or what I should be reading. And I do think I previously was a little bit of a book snob, and not in like a bad way, but I read a lot of like classics. Like I'm a big Sylvia Plath and Ernest Hemingway fan, and I think to me, like, someone who reads Sylvia Plath doesn't read The Hating Game, but you know what? Fuck it, because it's me. I'm reading both and I'm loving both, and I can, and I think everyone can. So that was our year in reading. Tito had a good time. I had a great time. Please watch out for my CAWPILE rating system. I'm super excited. I haven't filmed it yet, but I have an idea. I hope you have a great holiday. I hope I get this up before Christmas. If not, have a great new year. Thanks for watching. Bye!